When I got to Birmingham, to the music college, I met more people, and got asked to play in some show bands and things that kept me going and helped me to survive at the time, and did various little bits of sessions with people, started to meet more people in London as well and everywhere, the sort of cross-section of stuff, and then did the National Jazz Youth Orchestra a little bit as well. But it wasn't long after that I think John Etheridge saw me play at Wavendon when he started teaching there. At the same time, I think Alan Oldsworth was there. And then Rick had got the band with the Second Vision at the time, and Rick had a friend in Birmingham, and somebody said, "Oh, there's this great young bass player," he said, apparently you won't believe it. And he said, "Oh, I can't believe there's anybody doing this." And they invited around to some party, and the next thing I know, I was asked to go on tour, with Rick and John. So it's kind of, he's just lucky sometimes, with things,
So just to make things clearer, we're talking about the band Second Vision, which was formed by Soft Machine members at the time. John Etheridge on guitar, Ric Sanders on violin.
Yeah.
And so you joined a version of the band that toured after they'd released and made that album, one album they made.
Yeah.
And so you did a tour of a sort of Jazz Society sponsored tour of England.
That was it, yeah. And it went out on the name as the John Etheridge Ric Sanders group, because obviously there was probably legal things with Chrysalis to do with the name and stuff, but basically they played a lot of material off that plus extra stuff, which I remember one of the reasons was that Mickey Barker, the drummer, and John Davey, they were contracted to do some big thing with other bands or with Yamaha, and they couldn't leave for the tour. And so that's how they got me involved. It was great with Dave Bristow on keyboards, who a lot of people remember designing a lot of the Yamaha keyboards, including the DX7. Absolutely fantastic musician. And then of course they were asked about drummers. I think they had a couple of different drummers trying out. They said, "Well, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, I've got my friend Nick, who I met actually at Wavendon, another great meeting place, who lived in Newark, and we used to get together and have a play sometimes, and we'd get a few little bands going together and that and stuff." And that was it. So they gave Nick a try out. I was really happy, and that was it. So Nick joined Nick Twyman, who now been reunited with after about 30 odd years of not seeing him, which is nice, playing again. And I did the whole tour and some radio broadcasting. In fact, Nick's a great percussionist, and he played on, there was a week doing Radio 2 for Brian Matthew, and Nick played all the tuned percussion on it, And,
so what was the plan initially when you joined that band? Was it to promote the album, or were you opening a new chapter, hopefully, of the band, playing new material, or were you playing material from the album?
Well, it was, I would say it's probably a good half of the things with some of the material off the album, which I enjoyed because I'd seen them play it on the old Grey Whistle Test. There were two of the tunes, and my dad really liked it, because he always liked John's playing everything. I thought, so this is great stuff and that. And next thing, it was only 6 months later, and I got the call, And so we're playing that, plus some standards. We did some, Choice of Rick, I think we did a Chick Corea tune, we did a Coltrane thing as well. It was all kinds of different things. Plus I got the chance to get some of my stuff on there, and encouraged me. Rick used one of my pieces, or two of them I think, in the band. I think Downstairs Lady and Don't Fret was one of the things I did, so that was my first kind of chance to have stuff played on the radio and everything. So that was really thanks to Rick and that and John. I got some kind of opening, which took me out of, I might have ended up playing in, I don't know, show bands or on the boats or something, if not. And it's such a strange path that people's careers went, but I suppose I always played and composed some kind of music, as you develop in life, right from being young. So I've always been interested in the compositional aspects of the music as well, and the way the bass and the guitar has been incorporated into it. And, I just like lots of different music anyway, of all kinds.
But so those two tunes you played with that band would have been the first you were really pleased with, or your first compositions?
Yeah, I mean, it's like things I could improve on, like anything. You can revisit and do better things with them. One of them came out pretty good. I could still play it in a version of it I'd be happy with today, kind of thing, there's always room for things to develop, and from there I just kept doing things and writing things, and eventually come up with more material and that, eventually getting my own stuff together on that, after Second Vision had disbanded, unfortunately due to the old problems sometimes of finance. It's uneconomically not viable to keep a band like that on the road, which is quite sad, because I think it got a lot more potential to probably go further afield. I know there was plans to go to Europe and everything, and it just never happened, you know.
It was probably a time also when attention was veering away from jazz fusion, and band was no longer in kind of band was no longer in fashion. That probably influenced the kind of work you then went on to do with other people on the jazz scene in England.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about that band as well with Rick was the fact that it got some kind of roots and some folk elements to it, and mixing it. It was quite unique actually, because it was different to American fusion and other things. It got this mix of some kind of traditional kind of tunes ideas in there, as well as that, and mixing that with a kind of jazz rock thing. And I thought it made it instrumentally, you know, kind of interesting in a way, you know, and sort of introduced me to some things I never really, you know, thought about at the time. So in a way it was before the time. I think they were doing things long before some of the other bands that came along later, you know, in a way, but unfortunately, you know, didn't get all the credit for. But yeah, so it did have an effect on me, I think, and helped. And luckily we're still, you know, good friends. Even though we've ended up doing, well, we've done things together over the years and different times together as well. But yeah, so that connection, that's where it really started with John as well. Yeah.